This is going to be a fairly short video. My only purpose on this video, at the request of a couple of people, is to document exactly how I routed my vacuum lines under the hood and a little bit inside the car. Hopefully this helps you out. What I'm going to do is start at the intake manifold and just trace everything out from there. One caveat that I'll give you while I'm thinking about it is there is a difference between cars that have automatic temperature control and those that don't. Ones that are manually controlled or ones that don't have air conditioning at all. I'll point that out when I get there. Everything else, as far as I can tell, is similar, if not identical. So, starting at the intake manifold, here's your source of vacuum, the main source, of course. There's a branch here, so there's two ports. One of them goes directly to the brake booster, as you see. Branching off the brake booster goes straight to the transmission modulator valve. I should also mention this is for a 67 Lincoln. There could be differences in other years, so this is specific to 67s. Hopefully it'll be similar for 66 to 69, but there could be differences. I'm sure there's differences from 65 back, but so again, this is from a 67. So that's one branch. Now the other branch comes here, smaller side, and goes into this multiple connector. This is the original style. If yours is broken or you don't have one, then you just have to duplicate it as best you can. What I like about the original style is it has two different sizes of fittings on it, which help you to route the hoses correctly. Like these two up here are smaller than all the others that have slightly bigger hoses. I believe the slightly bigger hoses, which is the majority of them, is 3/16 if I remember correctly. I don't remember what the smaller one is, but anyway, I'm not here to talk about sizes so much as just routing. So, one of those branches goes directly to the cruise control. So that's this line right here. It's this very first one right there I'm focused on in the middle of the camera. That is the cruise control source. So if you have cruise control, it goes directly to your cruise control input. The other little hose, of course, goes to your baffles, which controls your throttle position. So that's one that's dedicated. There's another one that's dedicated for the parking brake release, and it goes directly from there through the firewall. I'll see if I can even see it. The sun's kind of bright today. It's near the booster here. It goes through the firewall, kind of in the top. It goes, if I didn't say that right, it's the parking brake release. Yeah, I think you can see it right there. It goes right from here straight to the parking brake release, and I believe that's that slightly smaller hose right there. It's not the 3/16. It's whatever size is down from there. Hooks directly to the parking brake release, and then the parking brake release has a hose. I'm sorry, the neutral. Let me clarify that. I apologize. That hose goes to the neutral safety switch. That's where the connection is. Then the other hose coming off the neutral safety switch goes directly to the parking brake. Sorry about that. I think I might have said that wrong at first. So that's all under the dash. Pretty straightforward. Then that leaves one that's not used, and I don't know what that's for, so it's just capped off. That leaves two more. These are your main supply lines for both the heat/AC system as well as any vacuum accessories such as power door locks, the windshield wiper washer circuit, as well as heat and AC systems. So both of them have these one-way valves right here. These little funny cone-shaped valves. Notice how they're facing. They're one-way valves, so you got to have them facing the correct direction, which is how you see them here right now. Something else I would recommend too, if you really want to diagnose vacuum problems, is buy yourself a hand vacuum pump. That comes in real handy to test vacuum motors, that kind of thing. So I use that a lot. So there's two of these. There's two lines. I don't know if, something else I forgot to mention. This car does not have power door locks. I don't know if that makes a difference as far as the vacuum lines that are under the hood here. I don't think it does, but it might, because I don't know where the power door locks get their source from, if they just branch off one of these main lines, or if that third one is the source for the door locks. I don't know. So that I can't help you with. I know the door locks is a pretty complicated system. A lot of vacuum lines and whatnot. But that I can't help you with that. Not yet, anyway. I do have the components for the vacuum door locks that were given to me by Brian in Kentucky. I don't know if I'll ever actually install them, but I might. So after in this car, in this case, those two main lines, after they go through the one-way valve, they go to these metal T's. There's two of them. They're made of metal, so they're held up very well, just like those two. You should never have to replace them. one of them, I don't remember which one it is right now, but one of them goes straight to the back of the ATC box, which is in the firewall here. See, I don't even know how well you can see it. It's kind of bright out here. I should have thought of that. Trying to zoom in a little bit, but it's yeah, I don't know how clearly you can really see that. You can kind of see the hoses disappearing down there by the brake booster, but anyway, one of those hoses off that T coming this way connects to the biggest port on the ATC unit in the back, and I think that's the same on any of them, whether you have automatic temperature control or not. And that is the source of vacuum that controls the vents inside, the heater valve under the hood, and the fresh air vacuum motor, which is also over there in that fender, the passenger fender. Now, since we're in the back of the ATC unit right now, there's two other hoses on an ATC car anyway. One of them is the mid-size one. That one connects directly to that motor right there, the blend motor. This controls the amount of heat that gets inside your car. Besides the heater valve, this is really designed to blend heat and cold together to get a comfortable temperature going in the car. So it controls how much air, if any, is going to flow over the heater core or not. For ATC cars, there's one dedicated line coming off the back of the control box, the master brain, if you will, of the system. Here's where there's a difference that I noticed in my shop manual. On other cars that aren't automatic temperature control, it's routed differently. There's not a dedicated line for that blend door. Instead, the line is shared between the blend door and the heater valve. And then the fresh air door, which is over there, has its, I believe has the dedicated line in this case. That's for non-air conditioned cars and for cars that have manually controlled air conditioning. So that's one difference I am aware of just by looking at the shop manual. And I certainly recommend you get a shop manual or see if you can find a vacuum diagram from someone. So, and inside the car, well, since we're talking about the ATC right now, there's on an automatic temperature control unit, there's only two hoses that hook underneath here, and they're labeled. One is blue and the other I don't remember, but the hoses are color-coded as well as the ports that they plug into. The other two ports you see there aren't used on the ATC system, but they are used on manual control as well as non-air conditioned cars, I believe. And those cars have a different setup behind the dash here, where they actually have vacuum hoses that come up behind here underneath the dash and hook into the control. This one, there's no vacuum hoses up here. All the vacuums control from that box right there. So that's that part of it. Now, when the heat is commanded on, the heater valve opens. That's the third hose that's down here. It's the smallest of the three hoses that goes in the back of that box. And in this case, the ETC case, there's a small little branch. I can't even see it. See if we can see it from this side. It's kind of hidden down there. So sorry about that. Trust me, there's a small little T in there. One part of that T connects to the heater valve, which is right there. The other branch comes off of there. And where's it at? It's in this bundle right here. Here it is. This hose right here. It goes in the fender well here on the passenger side and connects to the fresh air door, which is accessible under here. So you have to get the splash shield off if you've got to replace hoses on that like I did. So I've already talked about this. And let's see. So that takes care of that side of the let me think about it. Oh, I did forget one. That was all about the heating and air conditioning. Now the other main line that comes off the manifold, the one that is the other one-way valve, that one also comes in this direction. However, that one hooks right here. There's already a connection, there was on my car anyway, and I think it's pretty standard. So I just replaced the hose up to this point because this part of the hose was still in good condition. As far as I know, it only has, my roommate came out and asked me a question, so I'm continuing on. It's talking about this line right here. On this car, my car, since it doesn't have power door locks, I don't really know where the power door lock source is, so I can't speak to that. But I do know that this hose right here goes directly to my wiper switch. There's two hoses on the wiper switch. Of course, I can't show them to you right now, but there's the wiper switch, of course. And that hose I just pointed to comes here, and then there's a small hose on the other side of this. When you press the button, it sends vacuum only while you're pressing on the switch, in other words, activating the washers. It sends vacuum through that small hose that comes back out of here and connects to this little square valve you see right there. It has an adjustable screw in there to control how quickly the vacuum bleeds down. It sends that signal, that vacuum signal, right here through this hose directly into the wiper motor. There's a vacuum port on the hydraulic wiper motor, and when there's vacuum being applied, the wipers will run, and they run at probably about a medium speed, and they will continue to run until the vacuum bleeds out. So the more that screw is turned out, the faster the vacuum bleeds out. And if it's screwed in too far, your wipers might never stop, which is why you got to have that valve in there in the first place. You can't just hook it directly to vacuum, because the wipers would never stop turning, them would never stop wiping. Kind of an ingenious way to do it, but that's what the purpose of that is. Now, I did see in my shop manual, and this is probably similar to every other car that has a vacuum trunk release, there's a branch off of this line somewhere under the dash. I've never actually found it. I wasn't really looking for it. But that is also the source of vacuum for the power trunk release in the glove box. So there's a small hose that goes somewhere under the dash from this hose inside the car over to the glove box. And like I said before, my system is nice and tight now. I don't have any vacuum leaks, so that trunk release works between engine starts, which is pretty awesome. So that covers the hoses all on this side of the car. So now we're going to go to the other side. The only thing that's left is the vacuum reservoir. So those two main lines that have the one-way valves on them, they come back this way toward the passenger car, both of them. They're right here. They run under the fender, and then right there is the vacuum reservoir. They both connect to one half of that reservoir. That's actually two reservoirs in one. And the one on the inboard side, closest to the engine, that's the one for the heating and AC system. The one on the right side is described as for the door locks. I don't have door locks, so that's probably just holding vacuum for my wiper system and my trunk release, I'm guessing. But it also says in the shop manual, do not get them reversed. I don't know why it would make any difference whatsoever, but since I read that admonishment, I'm going to trace the line for the heat AC system to make sure it's actually plugged into the correct place. So I think I've covered every vacuum line that's under here. Pretty sure I have. So have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or send me an email. Well, let me finish this up here. I've been bragging about it. The car has sat here overnight now. This is the last time it ran. Let's see if this trunk actually still opens after sitting overnight. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it only holds for a few hours. That's okay.